Nobody's joined yet, but this is a special Christian Martin here with a special solo common mansplaining today. Here to answer all your rhetorical questions. Um, let's get going. Eddie is still on vacation, so I wanted to follow up, talk about some things in the news. Obviously, Israel and Iran is dominating news coverage right now. And so I wanted to give some thoughts. I'd like to see how things are still developing. But just to this point, um, Israel has had credible assurance about Iran's nuclear enrichment that is well beyond um, any amount needed for peaceful medical or emergency purposes, and reacted accordingly, and have attacked it not only and now have air control of the country, have had a chance to take out Iran's air defenses, most of their surface level nuclear programs, as well as had a bomb strike that managed to kill lots of senior military leaders in the Iranian army and have them severely crippled. Right now, Iran wants a ceasefire. Obviously, they just want the attacks to stop because they can't do anything about it. They don't have any means. They tried shooting some missiles at Israel. They were the most missiles shot. Hasn't really been effective. Israel's been able to counter most of the ones that would come at serious targets. Um, so right now, Trump has offered Iran some sort of deal. I guess it would involve them giving up their military ambitions to destroy Israel, as well as all of their nuclear weapons capability. Um, their nuclear weapons capability and is something that has been declared by an independent, non-right wing or Jewish group, the INEA, I believe, has said that their levels of nuclear enrichment exceed what is acceptable and what is needed for energy or medical purposes, and that they've been in violation of that. But essentially, Iran has been a bad actor, right? George Bush called them a member of the axis of evil for a long time, and have been a thorn in the side of the U.S., usually through their proxies, through Hezbollah, through Syria, the Houthi rebels, obviously Hamas. And but in the last 2 years, Hamas has now been weakened. Hezbollah is in Lebanon has had its military capabilities severely restricted, and they're losing power. And all of Iran's Syrian assets have essentially lost. Bashar Assad was a Iranian ally. He's now out of power, and so Iran doesn't have the ability to use Syria, Hamas, or Hezbollah to divide the attention of Israel right now. And the Houthis have kind of backed off and made an agreement with the U.S. not to attack U.S. shipping, but have been limited in their ability to do stuff. So that meant Israel could focus on Iran, and Iran obviously right now does not have the backing of Russia fully. I mean, they have their vocal support, but Russia can't show up, right? Russia could say, yeah, don't attack Iran, they're our friends, but Russia can't do anything. They're bogged down in Ukraine. All of Russia's serious military capability is dedicated toward the Ukraine conflict. They can only offer token, maybe financial support. So it's left Iran, if they're being rational, in a place where they need to sue for peace, and they need to give up. And many Iranians are looking to see major changes in their country. Now, I grew up in Los Angeles, and actually knew there's a large Persian population. They don't call themselves Iranian, but they are people who left Iran when the Islamic dictatorship seized power in a violent revolution in 1979. So they left with the Shah, or the King of Persia, and they're generally very peaceful. They're the idea that the media has of peaceful Muslims are the Muslims that came from Iran and settled in Los Angeles. And I've known many of them. Yeah, great neighbors, great people. They have wanted there to be peace and a more secular, a real democracy, not this dominant, oppressive Muslim regime that for some reason, just because Trump's in power, the left seems to want to prop up. It really kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for being here. It feels like any support for Iran from the left, from any type of people like Whoopi Goldberg or anyone else, is not based on anything that any historical knowledge of what Iran has done. Certainly, generally not thinking about their capture of U.S. embassy and holding Americans hostage and other things that they've done over the years. It's nearly a knee-jerk where we don't want Trump to be right. We don't want Trump to have a win. Whoever is opposed to Trump, whatever country is an enemy of Trump, we've got to support, right? It's the most knee-jerk, short-sighted thing that if you just even scratch below the surface, anyone can tell. Common sense is that the West, people that love freedom, certainly Americans, should not be sympathetic to keeping this minority, brutal Iranian Muslim government in power. And so they're weakened like they never have before, like they haven't been before, their weakest point. And I think the West would love to see a peaceful, non-aggressive, non-terrorist supporting Iran. It'd be great. People used to buy Persian rugs. They're the best in the world. Other things from Persia. They have a culture that's very old and very interesting. And that's all been suppressed by this regime that cares not about human cost, cares not about sanctions, not about the poverty of their citizens, but about their own power and their own extremist views. And really, their extremist views is that Israel doesn't deserve to be a country. Yes, obviously the U.S. is not trying to create a war, but again, Tanya, when you study the history of Iran, the government came there into power through violence. They have maintained power in Iran through violence on their own citizens, and the only way they're going to leave power is through being shown that their life, the only thing they respect tends to be violence. If there was a way to have Iran truly be peaceful, disarm and live with its neighbors in peace and not bully them and not threaten them, we would love to do that. The current government leadership there has not shown us a way to do that. The only thing, if we try to reach out to them in peace, which Obama and others have tried, they think that is weakness, and they use that to look down on us. Well, obviously we don't want to be cavalier and go into war with them. How we know, right? Because Iran has continually funded their proxies, supplied them with weapons. Hezbollah in Lebanon, other groups, Assad in Syria, the Houthis in Yemen, and their own groups were supportive of the Taliban, using any means, and Hamas, any means to funnel support, either weapons or money, to those groups, all in their aims to destroy Israel. Israel is their number one enemy, but they don't see Israel as legitimate, and they want to keep up that struggle. And so Israel has engaged them. Israel is, they're stated. This is like would be on their main webpage of things that they believe in is that they have been at war with Israel for years, um, and continue to be in a state of war. And their disposition towards Israel is that they should be wiped violently off the earth, right? Uh, so I guess we've tried sanctions. The sanctions, the elites just make sure that those sanctions punish the common people in Persia, in Iran. They're able to circumvent them. But essentially what we've done here is it's been targeted violence. We have not used violence against the common people, right? We've attacked their government headquarters, their military personnel, their nuclear research facilities, which are not in populated places. And so it's not a wide scale, and then their air defenses. So right now we're targeting the military, which is a legitimate source. The military, when you're in a state of war, accepts the risk of being targeted militarily. So we're not targeting civilians. We're not bombing civilian things. It's not like the Palestinian conflict where Hamas is just embedded with the civilians. We're able to, but the people that are dying are government, military people, leaders of their terrorist funding organization, the Republican Guard, the most trusted advisors that have been advising or enacting the violent policies in Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Gaza, Yemen, as well as at home, right, where women can be imprisoned and beaten for showing their hair, right, enforcing their extremist ideologies at home. There is a large popular uprising. Was trying to be a popular, like a democratic uprising, to have regime change or even to have just things moderated. And the moderate people in the government got kicked out, and it was violently suppressed by the Iranians. So really, I think we'll go into this a little bit more when Eddie and I get back, and we'll see where things are going. But right now, the pressure needs to be on Iran. If they want to, their power to resist has been significantly weakened. And so they have an opportunity where they can truly, if they want to survive as a government, they need to surrender and give up their weapons, certainly their nuclear weapons. That would be a huge strike to their pride for them to do that. And the only reason they're going to do that is if they respect that the other party, the U.S., Israel, can not only has the power to inflict violence upon them, but also the will. And so we do have to, for them to respect and for us to not use violence, they have to respect that we will use violence, or else they won't negotiate. It's kind of a weird conundrum. If they sense in us that we're reluctant, they won't negotiate with us, and we'll have to bomb them. But if they sense that we're eager and willing to do that, they're more likely to reach a peaceful, non-violent end. So yeah, I was gonna. Let me read what you said. So yes, people dying is bad. I'm not for people dying. I definitely those that volunteer, the people in their elite guards are not people that are forced or drafted in. This is their Republican guards. These are people who are ideologically pro, have supported over the years their violent terrorism and plans in and around the world. So I think they're fully accountable. they also, yeah, when they wear a uniform, they're willing to be targets. They take on these risks. That's why, we have respect for our military, because our military people put themselves in harm's way, assume risks. If they're out there serving, they know the bad guys are going to shoot at them. How do we know? Well, all right. I'm just speaking of the elite Republican Guard in Iran, right? So those people are the most right. There would be conscripts, there would be lower level soldiers, different army. It's kind of like the difference between special forces and yeah, somebody who's just in the army reserve so they can get college tuition kind of thing. Like somebody who are the career people that are career military, who are in this, who are choosing assignments that are more difficult, who are choosing training that is more challenging. Those are the people in Iran's elite military units, and so they expect that higher risk. Um, and the low rates of dying, well, just the attacks have been on military targets, and have been focused more on destroying Iran's air capabilities. Those have been significantly weakened, as well as any nuclear capabilities. There might be there's a chance nothing's perfect in war, but there are, the aim is not to target civilians, and it's not indiscriminate bombing. Israel and the U.S. try harder than any other country to be targeted and humane with our attacks. The question is now, so Israel doesn't have the capability of a bunker buster bomb. It's a huge bomb, conventional bomb, but that can penetrate down and destroy facilities that are deep underground, which is what Iran's nuclear facilities would be, where they're test facilities. And so they're asking the thing right now is Iran can either peacefully give up and we don't have to use a bomb like that, or if they don't, we'll give that support to Israel so that we essentially have the intelligence of where this facility is. It's so far underground, we need a specialized weapon to destroy it. But we're targeting facilities, right? And people know that those are being targeted, so people have the opportunity, plenty of time, to vacate them. If they don't, they're assuming the military risk of being there. We'll see. I think one of the big things is if they feel that there's that they're not fooling anybody anymore, right? The people aren't buying their spin, and buying their positions, and the gig is sort of up. They've run out of power. Their friends can't be there for them. Right? Russia can be there and say stuff for them, but Russia can't support them with any meaningful military activity because they're bogged down in Ukraine. They'll realize they're on their own, and on their own, they're not in a strong position. But it is going to have to take them making real concessions and not just saying. The Trump administration is not going to just say accept, or Israel for that fact, are not going to accept Iran saying, yeah, sure, we'll give up our weapons, trust me, right? It's going to be essentially them putting down their arms and allowing us to come in, inspect and dismantle all of their nuclear capability. And if they're willing to do that, then we have a grounds for peacefully allowing them to remain in power. Otherwise, Israel, there's just some talk about it. It's the neocons, but there's a video on X of the deposed Shah of Iran, the king of Iran, who is living in exile, hoping that, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of Persians living in the U.S. and other places that would love to come back to Iran. And once the violent Islamic regime is finally deposed, that there is a way forward. There is an opposition sort of peaceful shadow government that wants to live, like the West, friendly with the West, safely with their neighbors, trade, and not be hostile. And that's all we really want. We don't want to conquer Iran. We don't want to. We don't want to exploit Iran for any resources. We just want them to stop being jerks to us. We want them to just live peacefully. Really, our goal for winning in Iran is not to make it a territory or anything here. We just want them to not be angry at us, not be jerks to us, and that's really what Iran was for a long time um, in the 20th century until this Islamic Revolution in 1979, when they became the antagonistic axis of evil. Iran. It's sort of like Cuba was this great place to go on vacations and fun, and they just wanted to, um, have casinos and have people come party there like it was Miami, and then they get overtaken by communists and become very, very aggressive, right? Right? And Cuba, it's the same thing with Cuba. We just want Cuba to not be aggressive and threatening to America and its neighbors. That's all we want in Iran. We'll see. They feel their culture and the religious element add a level of, let's say, stubbornness or resistance to surrender that will make it very difficult. But there was a really good article I read today in was it The Spectator? Yeah, The Spectator, as well about the conflict, and maybe we'll talk about that, but also just about sometimes people are more concerned with the reactions than the crimes, and we should still remember what Iran has done. We should not forgive their crimes. Yes, it's gonna be a painful process. Seeing things have to get worse before they get better, but having them be a peaceful Iran, I mean Iraq, right, has been so much more peaceful. It's not perfect, but it's been so much more peaceful since Saddam Hussein has been out of power, and we just want Iraq to live peacefully with their neighbors. It's all we want from Iran. Right? If we could get it would be a step closer to a peaceful Middle East if Iran was a truly humbled nation, and there's a chance that could happen this year. There's a small chance it could happen peacefully, but if it comes to violence, they're in a position where they're really limited in what they can do, and hopefully they'd see that because of that, their options really are to give up. So we'll see. I would love to have a peaceful Iran. I have the Shah and a democratically elected government that's friendly with the West, that wants to trade with the West, isn't interested in funding terrorism, and isn't interested in destroying Israel. And that would make, right? Imagine if it was like Turkey, right? A great place to visit, and friendly with the West. That would be a goal and a hope for Iran. Anyway, any other things you want to talk about? Obviously, we can talk about the No Kings protest. We can talk about Great Britain. For those of you who have been following Great Britain's story, some major issues have come up in that. There is going to be a national inquiry, but it's so the Great Britain system right now, the inquiries in the Muslim rape gangs, is so fraught in sort of a class system that we don't really understand here in America. But we can talk more about that if that's something that you guys are interested in when Eddie gets back. But for now, here's the implication for the common man. The common man is the U.S. is supporting Israel is not eagerly jumping into the fray. Trump is offering a diplomatic solution and is hoping that Iran will take it. The clock for them to take that is not infinite, but they're trying to be patient and see if the decision makers there can get there. But the way forward to have a peaceful Middle East is going to have to take Iran changing their disposition and essentially realizing now their ability to be a military actor, somebody who can use violence, has come to an end. That they can't live like that anymore. They need to find another way to coexist. Anyway, for the common man, let's not react against anything just because Trump's for it. Let's take some time and think about it, and see if it's something that can make our world a little bit safer. I know some Christians are thinking that Iran is going to go full violence, and this is the start of the Battle of Armageddon. And I don't want to go down those things. I think there's still a lot of ways out of this, and I think the Iranian people mostly do not want to support an extreme war. Certainly a long, lengthy, total war. The country is about 50-50 divided, maybe 65 that want to live in peace, that are not extremists, so they're not going to support any type of long-term violent action. They've just been suppressed by this, by that. So, appreciate your support, and as always, we'll be back on Saturday. Hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit more about this No Kings protest and if there are any developments in Israel. Yep. Peace. Right? And I think the U.S., that's all we really want. We just want countries that have been saying death to America and death to Israel to just live in peace. We don't want to conquer them. We don't want to conquer Iraq. We just want them to stop attacking us, funding people that attack us, and attacking Israel. It's not hard. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.